What if tomorrow you woke up in a domed city on Mars, where the sky is butterscotch orange and a single storm could last longer than World War II? The reality would be far stranger than any science fiction movie. Double. Picture this. You step outside your Martian home and look up at a salmon-colored sky dotted with two tiny moons. In the distance, Olympus Mons towers 3 times higher than Mount Everest, while dust devils dance across rust-colored plains that stretch beyond the horizon. Your smartphone shows it's a balmy -80 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and the weather forecast warns of a dust storm approaching that could last 6 months. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is what daily life would actually be like if humans became a multiplanetary species. But living on Mars wouldn't just mean dealing with different weather and scenery. The red planet would fundamentally transform human biology, psychology, and society in ways that would make us question what it even means to be human. Because when you change your planet changes you back in the most incredible ways imaginable. Let's start with what Mars would do to our bodies, and it's absolutely fascinating. Within just a few generations, Martian humans would begin evolving into something distinctly different from Earth humans, creating humanity's first planetary subspecies. The low gravity on Mars, only 38% of Earth's, would completely transform human physiology. Children born on Mars would grow up to be significantly taller and more slender than Earth humans, with longer limbs and larger lung capacity to process the thin atmosphere inside their habitable domes. We're talking about humans who could easily reach 7 to 8 feet tall, moving with a graceful, almost floating gait that would look like slow-motion ballet to Earth visitors. But here's the mind-blowing part. Martian humans would develop superhuman jumping abilities. On Earth, the world record for high jump is about 8 feet. On Mars, an average Martian-born human could easily jump 20 feet high and leap distances of 60 feet or more. Imagine playing basketball where slam dunks happen from the free throw line, or where long jump competitions look more like human flight demonstrations. The psychological effects would be equally dramatic. Martian children would grow up thinking that soaring through the air for several seconds is completely normal. They'd develop spatial reasoning and three-dimensional thinking abilities that Earth humans couldn't match, essentially becoming a more agile and spatially intelligent subspecies. However, this creates a fascinating problem. Martian humans could never safely return to Earth. The stronger gravity would literally crush their elongated bone structure and enlarged hearts. We'd essentially be creating a permanent branch of humanity that's forever separated from their ancestral planet, leading to the most incredible evolutionary experiment in human history. Now let's talk about what Martian cities would actually look like, and prepare to have your mind blown. Forget everything you think you know about urban planning. Mars would force us to completely reimagine how civilizations are built. First, most Martian cities would be underground or covered by massive transparent domes to protect against radiation and maintain atmospheric pressure. But here's where it gets exciting. These underground cities would be architectural marvels that make Earth cities look primitive, with lower gravity. Martian architects could build impossibly tall structures and create vast underground caverns with ceilings hundreds of feet high. Imagine walking through underground Martian boulevards with crystal-clear dome ceilings offering stunning views of the alien landscape above, while the city itself extends dozens of levels, both up and down, through the Martian bedrock. Transportation would be revolutionized. Instead of elevators, people would use controlled gravity wells and pneumatic tubes to travel between levels, essentially flying from place to place within the city. The most incredible development would be gravity gardens, massive indoor parks, where the low gravity allows for impossible landscaping. Trees could grow in spirals, reaching several hundred feet high. Water features could include floating waterfalls that flow upward, and recreational areas could feature human-powered flight zones, where people use simple wing attachments to soar around like birds. But the real game changer would be resource utilization. Mars has massive iron deposits, which means Martian cities could be built with incredibly strong steel frameworks that would be impossible to construct on Earth due to weight limitations. We're talking about cities that look like three-dimensional spider webs of gleaming metal and crystal, with living spaces suspended in mid-air, connected by graceful bridges and walkways. The economic implications would be staggering. Martian construction techniques would eventually revolutionize architecture back on Earth, leading to a construction renaissance, where Earth cities start incorporating low-gravity design principles and underground expansion techniques learned from Martian urban planning. Here's where things get really wild. Living on Mars would completely mess with human concepts of time, seasons, and cultural development in ways that would create entirely new forms of society. A Martian year is 687 Earth days, almost twice as long as an Earth year. This means Martian humans would experience seasons that last twice as long, fundamentally altering their psychological relationship with time and planning. Martian children would celebrate birthdays half as often by Earth standards, creating a culture that thinks in much longer timescales and develops incredible patience and long-term thinking abilities. But the really fascinating part is how this would affect interplanetary communication and relationships. Because of the distance between planets, communication between Earth and Mars involves delays of 4 to 24 minutes, depending on orbital positions. This means real-time conversation is impossible, leading to the development of entirely new communication styles and relationship dynamics. Martian culture would become incredibly thoughtful and deliberate. Instead of quick texts and instant responses, Martians would develop elaborate, poetry-like communication forms designed to convey maximum meaning in delayed exchanges. Love letters between Earth and Mars could take hours to exchange, leading to the most romantic and thoughtful correspondence in human history. The cultural divergence would be incredible. Martian society would develop its own art forms based on low gravity and unique lighting conditions. Martian music would incorporate sounds impossible on Earth. Martian sports would look like magic to Earth humans, and Martian cuisine would be based on crops that can only grow efficiently in artificial Martian environments. Within a few centuries, we'd essentially have two different human cultures that are so distinct they'd barely recognize each other. Earth humans would seem hasty and impatient to Martians, while Martians would seem impossibly slow and deliberate to Earth humans. This could lead to fascinating diplomatic challenges and cultural exchange programs that would enrich both civilizations. But here's the twist that changes everything. After about 200 years of Martian colonization, scientists would make an incredible discovery. Living on Mars wouldn't just change humans, it would unlock cognitive abilities that we never knew existed. The combination of lower gravity, different atmospheric pressure, unique lighting conditions, and altered sleep cycles caused by Mars' 24.6-hour days would trigger dormant neural pathways in the human brain. Martian humans would begin developing enhanced pattern recognition, three-dimensional thinking, and problem-solving abilities that surpass anything seen on Earth. The most amazing development would be that Martian humans become naturally better at long-term planning and systems thinking, growing up with longer seasons, delayed communication, and the constant awareness that their survival depends on maintaining complex technological systems would create a generation of humans with almost supernatural ability to predict and prevent problems before they occur. But the ultimate revelation would be even more incredible. The challenges of living on Mars would actually accelerate human technological and social evolution. Martian communities would develop the most efficient, sustainable, and harmonious societies in human history out of pure necessity. Within 300 years, Martian human civilization would become so advanced and well-organized that they'd actually end up helping solve Earth's environmental and social problems, essentially saving their home planet from a distance of 140 million miles. So, the next time you look up at that little red dot in the night sky, remember, Mars isn't just humanity's backup plan. It could be humanity's upgrade plan. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from staying comfortable, but from pushing ourselves into impossible places that force us to become better than we ever imagined. The red planet might just be the place where humanity finally grows up and reaches its full potential among the stars. If the idea of humans evolving on Mars fascinated you, wait until you discover what would happen if we could build cities inside Jupiter's clouds. Think Martian architecture was impressive. Floating cities and a gas giant would redefine everything we know about engineering and human adaptation. Click the video appearing now to explore how we could literally live inside a storm the size of 3 Earths. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're exploring the cosmic possibilities that could turn science fiction into humanity's incredible future. See you in the next stellar adventure.